This is home. WAAY 31 Hometown News starts now.
Donald Trump has landed in the Tennessee Valley.
You're looking live right now at the Madison Municipal Stadium. That is where the GOP frontrunner is expected to speak momentarily.
And this is another live look from our Intergraph camera. A crowd of up to 30,000 people are expected at today's rally. And you heard that right, 30,000 people.
Yeah, here are some photographs of the lines of people waiting to get inside of the stadium. Thousands of people there, hours in advance, all hoping to get a spot close to the stage. Thanks for joining us for this Hometown News special report. I'm Bill Young.
And I'm Demetria McClinton. You might remember us talking about the Black Hall Aerospace earlier this week. Now, it's the airplane hangar in Huntsville where Trump's rally was going to be held. But the response was so big, organizers had to find a new location.
And so to Madison it went. The moment that Trump begins speaking, we are going to bring that to you live.
But for now, let's check in with WAAY 31's. We're actually going to check in with our guest that we have, political analyst Dale Jackson is here now to have more commentary on this big event that's going on right now in Madison.
Very exciting stuff happening right now. Donald Trump coming here to Alabama. We saw Marco Rubio yesterday. We had Ted Cruz in the state. We had Hillary Clinton in the state. So there's a lot of stuff happening. This is the latest. This is the greatest. 30,000 people they're expecting to come out there to Madison. They've had to move it multiple times. They've got people outside. So we got a lot of stuff going on here, and I think it's going to be very exciting to watch. And we're hearing rumors. Yes. These are just rumors, so this is coming from me, Dale Jackson, not these news guys. Lots of rumors. Jeff Sessions may be appearing at this thing to endorse Donald Trump, which is huge.
I was going to say, talk to us just a little bit about the importance of getting that endorsement.
Well, Jeff Sessions has always been the guy on immigration. He's been a legit immigration hawk from the very beginning. He was against the Gang of Eight. He's been fighting this thing for a long time. And if he looks at his colleague, Ted Cruz, and his other colleague, Marco Rubio, and he says, who's best on this issue? Donald Trump, a guy who's never been in the Senate, never been in the House, never been in government, and he likes what they're doing? That's going to say a lot. It's going to speak to a lot of people.
Well, and we were talking about this. I mean, of course, at this point, it's just speculation. But you also wonder if that's somewhat of a sign that Sessions obviously believes that Trump has the momentum to take this all the way to the election.
It could very well be a sign that the GOP is like, wow, this is real. Yeah. I mean, it very well could be. I mean, look, I never thought for a second that Sessions was going to endorse Marco Rubio. I never thought it was going to happen. The Gang of Eight thing was a no-brainer. But you would think his colleague, Ted Cruz, they agree on a lot of stuff. And for him to go to Donald Trump, that may tell us that this is real.
And what kind of impact do you think that'll have on the political party as a whole?
I think if you were to ask me what this means for the political party, the Republican Party, if Donald Trump is the nominee, I think it means say hello to President Clinton. Because that's what it looks like to me. Because I don't see how all these people who for years have been talking about conservative things all the time, how they're now going to say, oh, yeah, you know, this guy Donald Trump who's given thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to Democrats are now going to say, I can vote for that guy. Anyone else kills their candidacy. But for some reason, Donald Trump, he just keeps, the Trump train keeps rolling.
Dale, we're going to obviously be talking with you much, much more. Right now, I want to turn things over to WAAY 31's Heather Mathis, who is joining us live at the Madison Municipal Stadium, talking about just how big this event is, and also what this has meant for traffic. Heather.
I'll tell you, there are thousands of people who are here. The energy here is just through the roof, and these thousands of people have been here for hours. We got here at about 1 o'clock, and there was already hundreds just waiting to get inside. So we're being told that Celtic Drive closed at 3:30, and that's going to stay closed. We just know that Donald Trump's plane actually flew by the crowd just a little while ago. They were cheering as he flew by, saying Donald Trump, waiting for him to actually get on the stand. The speakers who talked before he actually saw the plane came through said that the next person to take that podium is going to be Donald Trump, so we're just patiently awaiting for that. Now, beforehand, I got a chance to talk to a lot of the people who were here in the crowd waiting, and I talked to a wide variety. Some people say that they might not technically be Donald Trump supporters, but just want to hear what he has to say. They've heard him on the media, want to hear it in person. Now, others say that they are big Donald Trump supporters and want to come out here and support him and like his immigration laws and other things that he has to say. I even interviewed someone someone carrying a Mexican flag saying that he wanted to come out and protest the immigration laws that were here today. So wide variety of people here coming out to see Donald Trump speaking. Like we said, the last thing that we heard was that as Glenn flew by, he would be the next person to take the stand. Did not get any type of indication as to when that would be. Of course, we are still waiting on that to happen, but we'll keep you updated here live out in Madison. Heather Mathis, WAAY 31, Hometown News.
All right, Heather, thanks so much. And just a quick reminder that Celtic Drive is closed to all through traffic. That went into effect at 3:30, but there is still parking available. As buses are taking people at this point, though, I don't even know that it would be worth the time or energy to head out there, since it sounds like we saw some tweets going out that the fire marshal already closed off the stadium.
No, you don't want to go out there. There's been a couple of things we've been hearing.
I'll just keep watching it here.
I'll give you a couple rumors that we're hearing. We're hearing that the porta potties are gone. And that they
never were.
Well, that they were never there, excuse me, and that they had a hard time getting some porta potties out there, so there's some stuff happening that we're probably not going to talk about. Also, the rumor with Sessions, that's another big one, and then the door being closed and the fire marshal saying no more.
Yeah, this is obviously going to be your best option to keep watching it here. Real quick, Dale, we're hearing some tweets, I guess, are coming out from Trump regarding today's event.
He apparently has a huge announcement, and we may have just spoiled it for everyone at home. But apparently, this is the thing about Sessions endorsing him. If this is it, this is huge. I mean, I cannot speak to how big this is. And again, I'll just be honest with you. I'm not a Trump guy. Don't like anything about him. But this is huge for a Republican primary. This is huge in the state of Alabama, which he was already up. But this is still huge, and this will play elsewhere. This will play with other talk show hosts around the country. Sessions is a well-known guy because of his views on immigration. This will play with the cable talkers. This will play with every person that Donald Trump is still trying to convince. I'm one of you. I'm a conservative. Forget about all the stuff I said in the past. I'm a conservative. I'm so conservative. Look at Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions is supporting me, and that's a big thing. That's a real big thing.
What's adding to, as you kind of pointed out, and I don't mean this in a disparaging way, but, you know, quote-unquote legitimacy among the hardcore conservatives.
It's exactly right, and that's one of his big problems. One of his big problems is the social conservatives, and the other big problem is people who just don't buy it. You know, there's a lot of people, and keep in mind, let's talk about these numbers here for a second. We're talking about him getting 35% here, 31% here. We're not talking about 70%. I mean, he's still not he's not approaching those big numbers that's going to put him for 50-something%. What he's doing is he is taking a big field and getting a big chunk. If that field gets smaller, he knows he's in big trouble. He's got to get guys like Sessions to get on board with him. And with this could be a game changer. This right here could be a game changer just because of what it gives him.
Well, you know, it is very interesting, and yesterday I had a chance to speak with Senator Rubio when he was here in town, and I said in particular, and I think it's true, holds true here in North Alabama, when you have the traditional social conservatives, Southern conservatives, with this blend of people that locally have moved here from all over the country, then maybe they're more concerned about fiscal issues. Yeah. They're not really so much concerned about, social issues, and try to find that appeal. I guess you could call that more moderate.
Yeah, no, you're right. There's a big section of the Republican base that cares a lot about fiscal issues, but sort of accepts all this other stuff that's going on as part of being a fiscal conservative, because the other party they view as going so far off the rails on those issues that it doesn't even matter. I mean, look, I'm for gay marriage, but at the same time, I don't think it's something that we need to be fighting over like we are, and I don't really think there's a place for transgender children to be going into different bathrooms in schools. It's just not something that most people look at as a real issue. So when they see that stuff out of the party of the left, they're like, okay, fine, I'll put up with this because I agree with them on these fiscal issues, and sort of push those other ones to the side. That's a big part of the Republican Party. The fiscal issues are a big part. The social stuff, there's a mixed bag with the Christian conservatives, the moderate conservatives, and things like that. And then Donald Trump comes in and upsets the apple cart. I mean, because it's just, wow, you know what? How to explain what it even is.
Well, and the hard part is, too, also nailing down where exactly, he stands on all of these issues, because it has been a little bit sporadic.
Yeah, it's been sporadic over his lifetime. It's been sporadic over this race. One day he talks about how Planned Parenthood does good things. The next day he's going to defund them. And then a couple of days later, he's back to talking about how they're a good thing. I'm for the individual mandate of Obamacare. Absolutely, I'm against it. I didn't understand what Anderson Cooper was saying. He didn't know what the nuclear triad was. I mean, it's just all these different things. And it's loud, garbage. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. It is loud garbage.
Well, do you think there's going to come a point in time when he's going to have to be held to the wire and says, no, you have to explain to me your plan? We looked at the CNN debate when he was on there and he was just talking in generics, you know, very general. Point in time when he's going to have to be held to the wire and says, no, you have to explain to me your plan. We looked at the CNN debate when he was on there and he was just talking in generics, you know, very general about things. Do you think there's going to come a point in time when they say, no, I need to know, how much are you going to spend on this? How much are you going to cut on that? Where's it going to go?
Yeah, it's called November. I mean, honestly, I mean, that's when they're going to start, that's when people are going to start worrying about that. And the simple fact is, everything that's been being said about him helps him. Every single thing. You got Al Sharpton coming out and saying, I'm going to leave the country. Okay, you won my vote. You know, you have Vicente Fox coming out. We're not going to build the wall. And Donald Trump says, well, we'll just make the wall 10 feet higher. These are all things that are going to help him. When it is one-on-one, he fears the exact same thing in the general election that he fears in the primary. If it's one-on-one, Rubio versus Trump, Rubio's going to beat him. If it's Cruz versus Trump, he's going to beat him. If it's Hillary versus Trump, Hillary's going to beat him.
Dale, hold that thought. We right now want to turn our attention back to Madison Municipal Stadium as we're continuing our coverage, waiting for Donald Trump to arrive. We have WAAY 31's Kat Reed and Heather Mathis there. Ladies, what can you tell us? What's the latest?
You know, we've been kind of held in this media pin. Myself and Blake, our photographer, but Kat was able to go out in the crowd and talk to some people, and even some protesters, Kat, I believe, were out there. What did they tell you?
Yes, well, we did have some protesters out there. Many protesters who are against presidential candidate Trump's policies when it comes to immigrants. There's also a group of veterans against Trump, and they are expected to protest shortly in a couple of minutes here. I know they have a sign they're planning on putting up, but the Trump camp said they're going to be very strict with protests. It will be removed as quickly as possible.
It looks like we might be seeing someone coming in, so if we want to pan to the crowd who seem to be cheering for someone walking up. We're not seeing anyone from where I'm standing, but the entire crowd just started cheering from where we were standing looking over. So, of course, we are on high alert here to see if that is actually Donald Trump who will be arriving here. But we will let you know as soon as that happens. We're kind of on standby to go. But as you were talking to those protesters, were you getting any kind of reaction from Trump supporters talking with them?
Trump supporters, for the most part, have been really civil to the protesters. You know, they walked by, they struck up some civil conversation, small talk, but not a lot of backlash, I would say. It's been a pretty peaceful day out here.
I know when I was out talking to the crowd from where the media is staged, like I said before, I talked to someone who was holding up a Mexican flag saying he was here to kind of protest the immigration laws that Trump would like to put in place. And there was actually people saying to him, we're going to build a wall. And he handled it very well and just said that he was kind of disappointed in the hostility, but he was just here to kind of voice his thoughts.
Yeah, and one of the protesters I spoke to, he said he's lived here his entire life, and what he loves about Huntsville is that you have a range of people, lots of transplants with a lot of different opinions, and he appreciates that we can have a respectful conversation about this. So he was very peaceful. He's not planning on coming inside, but I know these veterans are planning. They're already staged, and they should be putting that sign up pretty soon here.
Well, you know, we are on standby here for him to arrive. We'll let you know as soon as that happens. We'll send it back to you.
I was going to say, whenever I'm covering one of these political rallies, what is interesting to me is the background music they were playing. I got to say, I was not expecting Billy Joel's Uptown Girl.
Yeah,
But, you know, hey,
what about the song they were playing a minute ago? It was like some sort of a cappella version of "You Can't Always Get What You Want."
Yes.
So who knows? So
here's the thing. I want to go back to this, Dale, kind of what you were commenting, and I know that you're not a Trump fan, but obviously there is no denying that he has struck a huge chord with a lot of the American public who, for one reason or another, feel that he is going to be best at voicing what seems to be a lot of frustration. It is what I seem to get when I speak to a lot of people that are Trump supporters. They say, we feel like nobody has been willing to listen to our voice.
Okay. I have three theories on this.
Okay.
Three different groups of people that are making up a large portion of Donald Trump's support. There are people who have been Republican Party supporters their entire life, but they are so mad right now, they're just not thinking. They're just furious, and they're not thinking right now. Then you have people who say things like, well, he's saying exactly the things I want, exactly the things I think. And to that I say, well, then you need to be in a mental institution because you are insane. And then you have morons. Those are the three groups of people that are making up a majority of Donald Trump's support right now. Now, I say all of that kind of tongue-in-cheek. The largest group of those people is people who are so fired up, they're just not thinking straight. That's how you get a Jeff Sessions endorsing a guy like Donald Trump instead of a guy like Ted Cruz, who they fought over this issue. They fought on this issue together.
Well, and I will also say, in the Ted Cruz vein, you know, when I'm looking at the latest numbers going into Super Tuesday here in Alabama, I guess they have Cruz favored number 3 behind Rubio and Trump. And I am a little surprised that he didn't gain a little bit more traction among the conservative party here, because you know, obviously he has been very known for his religious stances, and I expected that to carry him a little further in Alabama.
The evangelical thing,
right?
That's been it's been one of the main things that people have been talking about here, and people are trying to figure out why Ted Cruz has been unable to get those numbers, and I don't know the answer to that. I have absolutely no idea. Donald Trump was fighting with the Pope last week. I mean, he was fighting with the Pope. You don't fight with the Pope, but apparently with the Pope, that helps you out there too. So all bets are off. All bets are off on this. I mean, we just saw the plane flying in, and people were like, Trump Force One, and cheering. Like, it's insane. And it's an amazing thing. It's fun to watch. These people, they're committed. This is a real thing. They are committed. They're all in. And it's not for us to try to understand, but it is for us to look at and say, this is what's happening. They're mad. And the Republican Party, if they lose this, it's on them. It's completely on them, because they've had the ability to get out there and fight and fight and fight, and their supporters, their base, doesn't think they've done enough for them, and that's what you're seeing right here.
Well, and I have to say, taking a step back and drawing on personal experience, looking at covering in 2004 the election with President Bush, obviously you did not see any kind of division within the GOP like you do now. I mean, I know that, you know, fast forward to 2008 with John McCain, but even leading up to that, it did not seem to be that there was just this intense clashing between the GOP.
No, and if you think, you brought up George W. Bush. He was running down George W. Bush a couple weeks ago, and that didn't hurt him. So people are upset, and that's a big portion of this. You hear this a lot, and you hear it on the Democratic side, too, with Bernie Sanders and things like this. But what Democrats seem to have done a better job of doing than Republicans, at least in this election, is saying, okay, let's look at this from 10,000 feet. Let's not just think about next Tuesday. Let's not just think about that. Let's think towards November. Do we want to put the guy who's a socialist? Okay? He says he's a socialist. It's in the title of what he is. He's a democratic socialist. Okay, let's see. I'm a Republican ad maker. Hammer, sickle, done. The election's over, and the whole thing's over. With Donald Trump, we're not thinking that way. Conservatives, Republicans, they're not thinking that way. The base is saying, I want this anger. I view it as righteous anger. He's saying what I believe, and I'm not thinking that much further than that. And that's the right now.
And it's so interesting, too, when we first announced here on WAAY 31 that he was coming to Huntsville, we got a lot of calls into our newsroom. I had to answer a lot of them.
Yes,
and some of the people who were supporting him was like, we really stand behind him because he says, like he said, what they're thinking, and then he won't back down to anyone. And that's the kind of leader that they said that they see those traits in him that they did not see in President Obama.
Oh, no, that's exactly right. They don't see that in the other candidates. And there's sort of this thing, and you've got to think about it like this, too, guys. What you're seeing here is a world that's in chaos. Okay, this is a world that people view as is in chaos, and they're worried. And what do you look for when you're in chaos? You look for a strong person. And when you look at guys like Rubio and Jeb, and you look at these people, do they strike you as strong people? They probably are. But they're not projecting that like Donald Trump is. You know, they're the guys who are sitting there, and if something happens, they'll help you. Donald Trump's the guy that kicked the door in with his chest puffed out and said, stop me.
Well, and you know this from being in the media. I mean, there's this old media adjective that you don't have to be number one in the ratings. You just have to tell people that you're the best.
Yeah.
And that will carry. Oh, here we go.